This decision will bring the much-needed monetary relief, especially to poor, working class and lower middle class families with university students. I also welcome the show of unity and common purpose from the academic community, students, academics, support and management staff to demonstrate a commitment to making higher education more accessible. Unless key stakeholders take up the struggle for transformation, government alone will not succeed in these efforts. The meeting between the President and university stakeholders also agreed to take forward discussions on all other matters raised by the protesting students and workers. Perhaps the three most urgent are the issue of free university education, institutional autonomy and public accountability, and thirdly, bringing support staff at our universities back onto university payrolls and liberate them from labor brokers. Resolving these will build upon the many agreements struck at the Higher Education Summit that my department convened on the 15th to the 17th of October 2015 at eThekwini, at which Professor Pozzoli was a part. We as government are already working full steam on implementing our side of the President's agreement, and we believe the Vice Chancellors are too. We call on all students to stick to their side of the agreement and resume the academic programs in all of our institutions. And we wish to congratulate those students who have gone back to class after the agreement on Friday. Disrupting end-of-the-year examinations will have a devastating effect not only on our system, but also in the lives of thousands of individual students and their families. What is the nub of the matter we are dealing with here? The nub of the matter is that we are victims of our own successes as the ANC government over the last 21 years. The funding allocation to universities from the fiscus increased by 30% between 2004-05 and 2015-16, from 9.8 billion rands to 30.38 billion. But between 1994 and 2014, we doubled the number of students in higher education. This huge increase saw larger numbers of poor students entering the university system. Today, we are sitting with about 1 million university students, of which about 72% are Black African, 6% colored, 5% Indian, and 58% women. The increase in financial contribution, however, has not risen in line with the increase that we have had. But this is what has increased the reliance of our universities on student fees. But in this context, we have to closely examine whether universities themselves are spending their monies, including those with reserves, prudently, and indeed whether they are prioritizing transformative programs. We could not cap fees because we are not legally entitled to do so. However, and as part of investigating and dealing with the totality of cost drivers in the university sector, government will have to set up a regulatory mechanism for fee increases as resolved by the African National Congress National General Council. As the ANC government, we know the challenges facing our students and communities because these are our children that we care for deeply. And we are dealing with these challenges and problems. Precisely because we knew of the expensive nature of higher education, we set up the National Student Financial Aid Scheme to support students who are academically capable but coming from poor families. We know the problem, we have the answers as the African National Congress. NSFAS provides loans upfront to poor students, interest-free for the duration of their studies, and converts a large portion of the loan to a bursary for students who successfully complete in the expected time. Successful graduates are expected to start paying back their loans once they are employed and earning a salary above 30,000 rands per annum. The scheme provides funding for tuition as well as accommodation and other basic costs. Since its inception, at the insistence of President Mandela in 1991, in the form of the Tertiary Education Fund for South Africa, NSFAS has awarded 50.5 billion rands to approximately 1.5 million poor students in universities and more recently TVET colleges as well. And most of these students, overwhelmingly, their parents have never seen the door of a college or a university. Funding from the department was 2.6 billion in the 2011-2012 financial year and will increase to 4.3 billion in the 2016-2017 financial year. Allocations have increased from 578 million to 4.909 billion from 2004-05 to 2015-16, a 602% increase. Since 2009, we have increased the total number of students supported by 44.2%. From the 2012 academic year to the 2015 academic year, the average full cost of study increased by 32.4%. The average NSFAS award increased by 48.7% in the period. We have also attempted to reverse other shortfalls in terms of infrastructure because indeed we are victims of our own successes. For example, we have recently released about 1.7 billion rands into the system as a whole for student accommodation, the bulk targeted as historically black campuses. To implement the 2007 Polokwane resolution of the ANC on fee-free education for the poor, I convened a ministerial working group which reported in 2013. This is the famous report which has been much mentioned in the past week as having been suppressed by me and my department. In fact, the main contents of the report was circulated to all the stakeholders and tabled in various decision-making structures, both inside government and in the ANC's National Executive Committee, Makotla.
Honorable Speaker.
Order. What is the issue, Honorable Member?
Yes, Honorable Speaker, I just want to check whether the Honorable Minister will be prepared to take a question.
Do you want to take a question, Honorable Minister?
If I have time at the end, Honorable Speaker. Not now. It has not been suppressed, this report. Two key issues exposed were raising the threshold of eligibility for NSFAS support and providing full support for cost of attendance for poor students. Detailed modeling of various options were developed, and the report suggests that an additional amount of 37 billion rands in 2011 rand value is required in the baseline over the 2016-2017 to 2018-2019 medium-term expenditure framework to cover the full cost of study loans for poor and working-class students. In the absence of that amount of money being available in the fiscus, we have made various interventions, such as a possible loan scheme for the students identified as falling through the cracks that would not require sureties from parents. In 2013 and 14, a large cohort of students eligible for NSFAS loans were enrolled at various universities with the understanding that additional funds would be secured from various sources to settle their debts. and we have coordinated a process of quantifying the NSFAS funding shortfalls for the 2013 and 2014 academic year across all universities. And cheers to that. We have also instituted various measures to improve administration, find additional funds, improve recovery so that more students can be supported, and improve on policies governing the allocations of funds, as well as root out possible fraud and corruption. We changed the interest accumulation, which used to kick in from the inception of the loan, to initiating it 1 year after graduation, because as the ANC, we are the only ones who know the problems, and we are the only ones who are capable of providing answers.
On a point of order, Speaker. Order. Minister, you must sit down. When I call a point of order, you need
Honorable member,
you need to sit down.
honorable member, if
Honorable
you want
Speaker.
a point of order, you wait for the chair to recognize you, and you can then take the floor.
On
Go
a
on,
point
what's the
of
point
order,
of order?
Speaker, the minister must not take his podium and mislead the nation in this
No,
house.
honorable
He
member.
knows
that's
very
not-
well
That's not a
that-
point of order.
He knows very well that what the ANC is having right
Honorable
now is
member,
plan
take
after
your
plan.
seat.
The country needs free education. You
Honorable
must not
member.
ever take a stand and mislead the nation. You are misleading us.
Honorable member. Please proceed, Minister.
The honorable member can raise a point, but we have no power to instruct me to sit down whatsoever.
Point of order.
Let me briefly,
Point of order.
What's the point of order, honorable
Point
member?
of order is that even yourself, you can't address the member directly. What we are saying is that we are
Honorable
not telling
member.
this nation the truth. That is why
Honorable
today
member,
the students
take your
are
seat.
on the street fighting for free quality education.
Can you
It's
take
because
your
your
seat,
government has
honorable
actually
member?
failed to give the students free quality education. That's all what we want to hear today.
Honorable member, take your seat.
Don't mislead the nation.
Please proceed, honorable minister.
let me briefly inform the House of my actions over the past few weeks. As contrary to what my detectors say, I have not been absent. I have been engaging the vice chancellors and other stakeholders on the issue of fees for some time. The week before last, I set aside 3 days to meet with representatives of the university community on a wide number of issues at the Durban
Point
Summit.
of order, Honorable Speaker. Point of order, Honorable Speaker.
What's the point of order, honorable member?
The minister knows very well that he's not telling the truth. For the past 2 weeks, we have
Honorable
seen
member,
protests through higher education
that is
institutions.
not a
the
point
minister
of
must not
order.
the minister must not derail this debate.
Honorable
You must
member,
not derail this debate.
take your seat, honorable member. Please
The week
proceed,
before
honorable
last, as I
minister.
said, I was at the Durban Summit and held an additional meeting with student representatives on the sidelines of the summit. When it became apparent that students nationally were embarking on protest actions, I immediately called a meeting of vice chancellors, worker leaders, and national student leaders